Good morning. I'm Katie Dutcher from Flourish and Bloom and Monterey Bay Meditation Studio. And today I titled um, this teaching practice "A Tiny Treasure Hunt," and I was hoping that that sounded maybe a little mysterious, awakens some curiosity, um, and that is what I want to talk about. Treasure. Well, I'll get to it. First, I want to talk about um, the opposite side. I think many of us know that human beings have a negativity bias. And that doesn't mean that we are just kind of willfully being negative or pessimistic or something like that. What it means is that over time, as long as humans have existed, there has been an attunement, let's say, to to kind of detecting what is not right, what feels unsafe, possible threat, kind of evaluating, right? So if this feels true for you, one thing to know is that it isn't just you, it is all of us. And the other thing to know is that anything like this that has been with us from an evolutionary standpoint has in some way served us, right? Why would we develop this bias? Because um, the main thing is that it helps protect us. It helps keep us from danger. If we are tuned into what isn't quite right, a sound, um, a dark alley, things like that, we are more likely to keep ourselves safe, to live another day, right? However, like many of these kind of systems that have developed in our modern life, it's a kind of a hyper awareness, and the things that we are so attuned to about what's not right, um, they aren't necessarily threatening our life, right? We just are able and prone to have this stuff stick out, to be able to notice um, what just kind of bothers us or what we're not so excited about, all these types of things. So it's a system that developed for a reason, and it's a helpful reason, and it feels like a bit of overkill, right? It kind of has us feeling nervous, maybe a bit irritable sometimes when we feel like we're really kind of stuck in that negativity bias. So, the thing that we can do, the intentional thing that we can do, is to shift the balance a little bit. So, one of the things we can do is work with our um, judgment, noticing when we're really always sucked into evaluating and kind of working with equanimity, just letting things be. Another thing that we can do is intentionally notice the good. And so this is where the tiny treasure hunt comes in, where rather than kind of scanning the environment to be looking for danger, we might be scanning to look for the treasures, to look for what is beautiful, what is pleasant. And in that way, we're kind of tipping the balance a little bit, shifting our experience, shifting what we're actually able to see. And what we are able to pay attention to, what we're able to be aware of, actually changes our experience, right? It might change if I can see some of the wonderful things around me, and I have had a difficult experience that day. Um, I might be able to see that day as just another day. It held difficult things, it held wonderful things. If I'm not looking for any of the good, then I might be more likely to just classify it as a bad day because it had that challenge in it, if that makes sense. Um, so I'll talk a little bit more about this, but first I'd like to invite you to a short practice. So right where you're sitting, this will just be maybe 5 minutes or so. Right where you're sitting, let your eyes close. And we'll start with the bell. So take a few breaths, just normal, everyday breaths, letting yourself feel the breath coming in and going out. And now beginning to sense your body as you're sitting here. Specifically, tuning your attention, seeing if there's any pleasant sensation. Is there anywhere in the body a sense of ease or comfort? Maybe a sense of being supported. There may be other things you notice in your sensing of the body, and that's fine too. And then returning to your scanning to notice any sense of ease or just any sense of feeling okay. Even if it's a neutral sensation, just a sense of this area of the body doesn't hurt, doesn't have tension. Just noticing this, possibly appreciating this. And then from this sensing of the body, beginning to think, to reflect. The question is simple. What's good right now in this day or in your life? What's good? Noticing what images, what thoughts begin to come into your mind. Perhaps it's certain people, people who are in your life in a way that has you feeling appreciative or happy. Perhaps there's something in the environment, a sunny day, spring flowers, much needed rain. Perhaps there are little things. Maybe you just had a really lovely cup of coffee served in your favorite mug. Maybe there's a glimmer, a little spark of excitement about something that you know will be happening soon. Once more, just opening this question: what's good, big or small? Acknowledging each thing that pops into your mind. And acknowledging too whatever emotions you're sensing right now. As you let these little treasures drift through your mind, noticing any little twinges, any changes in your mood, in your emotions. Really letting yourself feel whatever you're feeling and kind of marinating in it. And if you like, you might just smile. Smile on your face, perhaps imagining smile or warmth in your heart. And listening for the sound of the bell. So, this was a very short practice. Thanks for joining me in this. And what I noticed personally is just a shift in my mood. I haven't quite dove into the day yet, but already the letting some of these things come to mind, letting myself smile and actually focus on these things rather than just, oh, sure, that's one thing, and then it just runs through my head so quickly, but actually letting it have some gravity to it. I find it really helpful, and it's helpful for me in the one time, like right now, but also research shows that practices of gratitude, and noticing the good, they really stack up over time. We can shift our way of being, not just this moment, but shift our whole way of being by intentionally practicing in this way. And so there's a few things um, I can offer as ways to work with this, and I'll be putting them on my website too. So you can always find these videos. Well, you can find them on Facebook and YouTube, but also if you go to katiedutcher.com/blog, then you can find it there as well. So I'll add some resources there, but some little ways to work with this. There's a lot of ways to do this. People have a gratitude journal. I've heard about having like a jar with slips of paper that you write down something that's good, something that's wonderful, and you put it in there. And then you can always look back on it, read through. Um, Another idea is to actually go out in the world, like maybe take a walk and have it be your intention of actually having it be a treasure hunt. What can you see that is beautiful, that sparks your attention, that surprises you? So just walking with this aim of looking out for treasures. For me, my really regular practice with this is part of my morning journaling. One part of my morning journaling is that question, what's good? And it really ranges from big things like being alive and being conscious and able to grow, to really small things like that cup of coffee. That's surprising how often that one comes up as what's good. Um, there's a resource that I'll put on the website that's a pleasant events kind of tracker where you just note what pleasant events occurred and how you were feeling about them, how it felt in your body, what needs were being met. And that's a wonderful practice. I always love writing practices because you can then go back and look, and see patterns and things like that. Um, a couple other fun ones. I like the game Who Can I Thank? So this is not just gratitude journal, but really about connecting it with people. Who in my life can I thank right now? And so it's a double whammy because first you think about it and you feel that gratitude, and then you actually do it. Go and thank that person or write them a thank you note and send it to them. And in that way, you are actually passing on the treasure to someone else. And finally, I like the idea too of reflecting on what brings you joy or kind of noticing these feelings of joy as they just arise, and noting that, just noting, oh, this when this happens or when I do this thing, when I experience this, I feel joyful. I feel happy. And then that's great information because we do often have choices in how we spend our time. So we can then put ourselves in the way of that joy. Maybe I notice I feel joyful every time I take a hike. Well, let me just know that and then go take a hike whenever I can, even a small one. So it's just cultivating those experiences that we do see as treasures. It is it is interesting with this one of being open to surprise. I noticed the other day how much joy it gives me to do things that are really like simple but and kind of organizational, like my Sunday afternoon making food and prepping some meals and lunches for the next week. That gives me a lot of joy to kind of anticipate my needs and take care of them, and I feel really accomplished and content afterwards. Who knew that was a joyful thing? Well, now I know. So a couple of other things here to just not question it, not question, why does this make me so happy? Should it make me so happy? Does this really matter? It's okay to just feel it. I've mentioned the word joy, but all of these kind of neighboring sister feelings of joy, wonder, awe, bliss, delight, gratitude, feeling pleasure, feeling proud, content, satisfied, all of these different flavors of really pleasant feelings. And even just the feeling of I'm okay. I'm not doing too bad. I'm okay. That's a good one too. So letting yourself, and this is a practice that I've learned from my colleague Marianne Rowe, letting yourself really pause and appreciate. That is a wonderful practice. She calls it 30 seconds of satisfaction, where when something happens that is good, to actually sit with it and really take it in. That can just make all the difference. So I'm wishing you moments of this. If you try any of these practices out and they make